Hey, UFO seekers, are you ready for another installment of the Smoking Saucer? I'm Matt. I need to believe Thompson, your friendly neighborhood UFO gumshoe, ready to dive into today's mystery and hunt down that smoking gun. Welcome back.
And I'm Jen Contrarian Reynolds, your friendly reality check, here to keep Matt grounded and remind us that sometimes what looks like a flying saucer is just, well, a frisbee.
Jen, prepare yourself because I've been down the rabbit hole on what might be the single most explosive UFO conspiracy of the Cold War era, the so-called 1954 Eisenhower Alien Treaty. Picture this, it's mid-February of 54 and President Dwight D. Eisenhower touches down in sunny Palm Springs for what's billed as a routine golf getaway. Then, poof, he vanishes from the public eye for a full 48 hours. No press photos, no scheduled speeches, no eyewitnesses at the resort, zip, nada. Whistleblowers and classified leak enthusiasts argue that Eisenhower's C-47 didn't land at the Palm Springs resort. Instead, under radio silence, it diverted to Muroc Air Force Base in the Mojave Desert. Behind sealed hangar doors, later known as Edwards, AFB, they say he met a delegation of classic gray extraterrestrials and signed a treaty trading Earth landing rights for advanced alien technology. Imagine the implications. A secret agreement handshaking our commander-in-chief with interstellar diplomats, all while the rest of America thinks he's perfecting his swing. If true, this would be the biggest cover-up in presidential history. And that, Jen, that's the smoking saucer I'm chasing.
Missing 2 days? Come on, Matt. Eisenhower was too busy perfecting his golf swing and sampling every cocktail at the Palm Springs Country Club to squeeze in a round table with three-fingered visitors. And going to shoot this saucer out of the sky, Secret Service files log every presidential move to the minute. And in February 1954, shows Ike teeing off at the Palm Springs Country Club, not sneaking to Muroc. The 89th Airlift Wing's C-47 flight logs chart every takeoff, landing, and refuel. No Mojave detour. The desert sun ran daily snaps of golf swings and dinners with Kuchel. Even the White House diary confirms it. End of story.
Exactly. That's the cover-up. Picture this. The country's top news outlets running feel-good features about Ike's golf scores, while classified ops puppeteered every headline. Not a whisper about Muroc made it past the censors. Meanwhile, townsfolk near the dry lake bed recall seeing a C-47 painted matte black, its engine silent as it glided in after dusk. Unmarked MPs ringed the perimeter, rifles at the ready, confiscating cameras and ordering bystanders off the tarmac. Sounds more like a covert alien summit than a presidential layover.
Townsfolk reports, eyewitness accounts. Matt, human memory is a minefield. We unconsciously fill gaps with expectations and rumor, especially when recalling hazy events through the lens of 50s sci-fi. Without radar logs, pilot testimonies, or hard data, these blurred recollections amount to little more than campfire tales, not proof of interstellar treaties.
Jen, wait. I have more rapid fire for you. Then there's the Holloman Air Force Base angle, another layer of cloak and dagger that sends shivers down my spine. According to a few intrepid researchers, the real meet and greet didn't happen in sunny California at all, but in a cavernous, unmarked hangar at Holloman under the codename Project Snowbird. It paints a surreal scene. Eisenhower, flanked by grim-faced aides, led down a dimly lit corridor, blindfold snapping into place over his eyes. Beyond the door lurked not only the familiar grays with their obsidian, almost hypnotic eyes, but also taller, scaly visitors, straight out of nightmare cryptozoology, reptilian beings with slick, armor-like skin. Eyewitnesses, mostly former military personnel speaking off the record, say they heard the low buzz of alien voices through translation devices and the sharp clink of metal as the treaty documents were opened. Imagine the president, blindfolded and forced to trust only his diplomatic training. Now, that's as secretive as it gets.
Blindfolded? How? Next you'll tell me he signed it with invisible ink under UV lights? Here's the reality check, Matt. By February 1954, the U.S. airspace was under constant scrutiny. NORAD's early warning radar, the Air Defense Identification Zone, CONEL-RAD broadcasts, every ping and blip was logged in real time. The Pentagon's records for that week list nothing but routine aerial refuelings and training exercises. Commercial flights were tracked by the Civil Aeronautics Board and the FAA, and Project Blue Book investigators cataloged every unidentified report they received, mostly weather balloons and swamp gas. In a Cold War climate where a stray C-47 could trigger a scramble, there simply weren't any unmarked spaceships slipping through. No radar contacts, no missing flight plans, no clandestine landings, just President Eisenhower playing his round of golf.
Pinning your faith on airtight records ignores how archives can be massaged into a tidy story. Heck, even Admiral Richard E. Byrd, decades after his polar flights, hinted at secret back-channel pacts beyond the usual diplomatic playbook. And don't forget Eisenhower's own farewell address warning us about a burgeoning military-industrial complex, a clear sign our defense machine might be hiding undisclosed agreements. Put those clues together and it's obvious there's far more to the story than what the official flight logs let on.
Ike's January 1961 farewell warned of the military-industrial complex, the ties between defense, arms makers, and Congress that risk runaway weapons budgets and erode democratic oversight, not clandestine handshakes with aliens. As for Admiral Richard E. Byrd earned fame for polar exploration, founding Little America, flying over the South Pole, and leading Operation High Jump in 1946 to 47. His legacy is geographic discovery and research, no credible link to extraterrestrial path.
Hey, how about the Battelle Memorial Institute Project Sign documents, declassified in the 90s? They reference non-human intelligences encountered in 1954. And let me tell you, digging into the declassified project files feels like opening a time capsule of Cold War intelligence. These aren't just dusty reports, they're systematic, data-driven analyses compiled at a lab renowned for cutting-edge R&D. And buried in those 1990s releases is a 1954 entry that chills me. Analysts describing non-human intelligences whose flight characteristics defied any known atmospheric or aerospace principles. What fascinates me is the precision of those notes, radar tracks crossing at impossible speeds, visual confirmations by multiple officers, even spectrographic readings that hinted at propulsion signatures unlike anything human engineers could explain. Battelle's role wasn't fringe. It was to translate anomalies into actionable science. If they flagged these encounters, it suggests the Air Force took the possibility of real ET contact far more seriously and far earlier than the official line ever admitted.
I've pored over those declassified sign reports, and what strikes me first is their painstaking caution. Every sighting is logged with timestamps, witness affidavits, sketch diagrams, and even spectrum analyses. But when it comes to interpretation, it retreats behind layers of hedging. Could not be identified, inconclusive, no corroborating data, or the ever-present pending further study. It's a masterclass in institutional ambiguity. Meticulously record the anomalies, then calmly explain them away.
You're cherry picking, Jen. Some pages are still heavily redacted. Why redact references to actual treaties if they didn't exist? Entire paragraphs are blacked out, so you never see the analysts' real debates. When they do offer explanations, they lean on photographic plate defects or inversion layers as catch-all rationales. There's no whisper of treaties, no hints of diplomatic handshakes, just a relentless fallback to mundane causes whenever the data got too compelling. In military speak, unidentified is shorthand for we're out of answers, yet the official narrative packages that uncertainty as routine.
They redact mundane operational details all the time. Not every blacked out line is about alien handshakes. And if there were a treaty, secret or not, there'd be paper trails in multiple government branches, not just the Air Force Office of Special Investigations.
Look, skeptics can scoff all they like, but the Eisenhower Alien Treaty has been pop culture catnip for decades, showing up in every sci-fi flick, TV episode, and pulp novel you can name. There's something irresistible about the idea that our highest leaders cut shadowy deals we're never meant to see. And here's where it gets wild. Some researchers tie Ike's 1954 Desert Summit to the appearance of In God We Trust on Our Money. Congress mandated it in July 1956, and by October 57, those new silver certificates hit wallets nationwide. UFO legend John Lear even argues that Eisenhower was so rattled by what those Greys let slip that aliens could rewrite religious history, and perhaps there was no traditional God, that he ordered the motto reinforced on coins, bills, even slipped it into the Pledge of Allegiance to steal the public's faith. If that isn't proof our world lifted off the runway of the unknown, I don't know what is.
It makes for great fiction, like what we do here, right? But real history needs verifiable sources. Until someone unearths that signed treaty in Ike's personal files, I'll stick with documented golf scores over conspiracy lore.
So you'd rather believe Ike sank a birdie on hole 7 than signed off on warp drive schematics?
Matt, here's one final juicy tidbit you can hold on to. Eisenhower's own presidential library and the day's records confirm he was off the radar the evening of February 20, 1954, but only for a routine dental appointment. That's my final word.
Who goes to a routine dental appointment while on vacation? That's good enough of a smoking saucer for me. Thanks for listening to the Smoking Saucer Podcast. If you enjoyed our cosmic clash, hit subscribe, leave a review, and send us your questions.
Until next time, keep your eyes on the skies and your critical thinking intact.